I'm thinking about doing a series for YouTube, just to get some stuff out there, and especially with what's going on here currently, the Israel and Gaza Strip and Hamas debacle going on, and former Hamas leader calling for all Muslims everywhere to, on Friday the 13th, start up a jihad, whatever that's going to mean for them. October 13th. But I'd like to start, I'm not a prophet. I'd like to start off, I'm not a prophet. And number 2, it can be corrected. And number 3, this is going to be no edit. And so if I make a mistake or I stutter a little bit, that's what's going on. Let's start a lesson on end times prophecy by beginning in Matthew chapter 2, verse 1. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all of Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Christ was to be born. "In Bethlehem, in Judea," they replied, "for this is what is written, this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will be the shepherd of my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and make a careful search for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother, Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold and of incense and of myrrh, and having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. Now, let me just begin with this. Talking about prophecy by beginning with Christmas. Whoever thought of that? I was studying, trying to figure out one more fresh idea for a Christmas lesson during the Advent season. And when I came to this, something struck me as funny. Both the foreign Magi and the chief priests and teachers of the law, they both had this all the information they needed. And the Magi, however many they were, took action. They read the scriptures, recognized the signs, and said, we need to do the appropriate thing. We need to act appropriately. The chief priests and teachers of the law, by the will and command of the king, which is a lesson all in itself, sought out scripture and discovered where the child was going to be born. Sounds like to me King Herod believed the Magi. Sounds like to me the chief priest, teacher of the law, knew where they needed to go. What happened? How is it that only the Magi in this situation, how was it that they were the only ones who acted in faith? Maybe the chief priests, teacher of the law, were like a lot of people I know, loved the Scripture, studied the Scripture, marinated in the Scripture, even for their messianic prophecies, knew them by heart. Maybe they just was so dogmatic in their thinking that they couldn't think that they believed it was going to happen, but it wasn't happening then. I look at end times scriptures, end times prophecies, scriptures, with as clear mind and open mind as I possibly can, and not to be so dogmatic, to anchor so high that I won't let go of that when I discover something better, more accurate. I don't want to be like King Herod. I don't want to be like the chief priests and teachers of the law who missed the birth of Christ. So I look at end times prophecy, and I don't dwell on a lot of things too deeply, except for one point. There's a teaching in Ezekiel 38 and 39 about what's going to happen in Israel before everything that's going to happen. Like I said, I can be corrected, and I'm not going to do it right now, but I wanted to give us a head start. I'm going to be looking at Ezekiel 38 and 39, hopefully with new lenses. I preached a sermon almost 2 decades ago, called the 2-minute warning, and that's going to be my premise the next time I'm able to sit down and put one of these together. So I'm posting this as soon as possible. And if you happen to watch it and you happen to disagree with me, put that in there. But let's make this kind and gentle, a discussion. We can be dogmatic, but let's be willing to allow Scripture to transform us. Let our conversation be to try to find out what God is doing around here. We won't know the specific time and place. That's not the purpose of this. We just know that God says He's going to do it. I just kind of like to have a 2-minute warning. I got all my friends, all my people whom I love and I take care of and I try to protect. They know how I feel. They know what they need to do. So if they're believer or not believer, my world has heard the message by way of testimony. But let's look at Ezekiel 38, 39. We'll begin at verse 1 of Ezekiel 38:1 the next time. So this is part 1. I hope you join me. If I look back on my YouTube account and I see that there's no one who viewed this at all, well, okay. I just need to get some stuff out because I know I'm going to be preaching this sermon here maybe in November about the 2-minute warning. I've preached it here once before, here at Valley View Christian Missionary Alliance Church. But I'm praying for you. I hope you're praying for me. Good night.